Central Florida, merely blocks from the Atlantic Ocean. Today is a blustery east wind day, which we are really enjoying. It's uncommon to have the onshore wind be moderate onshore winds in the morning here in the summer, and we always love it when it happens because it cools everything down. And we've actually got an encroaching storm system, so we've got a little bit of drama on the stream today, which we might get, see those gigantic cumulus clouds, which we might get rained on here during the stream. By the way, if you are new, welcome. Stoked you found this. I get that from people a lot where they'll say, wow, I found your stream. It's always great when you find it. If you found it and you want to stay, click subscribe. Also, if you like this stuff, hit the thumbs up button, and that helps the video. As you can see, my sweet chickies are enjoying their Sunday afternoon. It's a bit late for the Coffee Chat podcast, actually. I usually get on a little earlier, but I went for a bike ride this morning. Enjoyed the cooler temps. There's a gigantic log rolling down the ocean, rolling down the shore in the ocean, which is always interesting. Sometimes these just incredibly huge logs will float up and land on the beach. I mean, it's really rare, but sometimes that happens. And I always wonder, where did that thing come from? Where did it come from? How long has it been floating out in the ocean? And really kind of good that it's washing up on the shore so that maybe a boat doesn't run into it in the middle of the night. I always think about that if you ever were on a boat and put it on autopilot. There are a lot of people that in Florida who will go to the Bahamas, which is not that far away by boat. It's a, you know, my neighbor here, he said he would get in the water in the morning, and 9 hours later he would be in the Bahamas, tying up to the dock. That was from the, you know, the local ramp here, and he just put it in the water there, and then was in the Bahamas. I always thought that was super cool. He actually built the boat himself, piece by piece, as he could afford to buy marine plywood, glass it all together, and he built a, no kidding, legit open ocean boat. Pretty neat motorboat. Yeah, these little chickens are fascinating, really. You know, we kind of keep them more like pets, but to watch their behavior, it never really gets old. It's a novelty for us still. And over a year after getting chickens, I will say that it was a very, very good move. It's one of those decisions that we made that really, we didn't know if we were going to really like the whole process of having chickens and what they would be like. We'd never lived with chickens before, but I can tell you, I am super glad we have them. They're fun animals. They have, you know, personalities that you get to know. Now, never name or get to know the personalities of chickens you're going to plan to eat. But we're not going to eat these. Okay, so I actually have a agenda of things I wanted to do on the live stream. Also, feel free to comment. Comments are open and encouraged. If you have any questions or observations, always makes things better. This I've showed in a recent short. This is the Robellini palm. Robellini is an excellent dwarf pygmy date palm, they call it. Dwarf palm tree. This particular palm tree here was a 3-trunked pot I bought for like $12. I gotta get my hose cleaned up. This was one that used to be 3, and then 2 died from some kind of fungus deal. This one's still doing very well, as you can tell. I just removed them as they died. And then I have another one over by the bunny run there that unfortunately is growing rather close to my fiber optic comm line, which I do not want it to mess with, so I've been trimming it back. So now it's mostly just chop and drop, and I think it'll eventually just die from, you know, being trimmed so heavily, but we'll see what happens. I'll show you that one. I'm gonna put my coffee down. Oh, also, if you're on the stream yesterday, you know the sprinkler's broken. There goes the old air conditioner. Okay. And see, it's got lots of Robolini seeds, which, by the way, if you wanted to grow a Robolini palm, I would encourage you to do that. Just get some seeds. I'm going to give you some palm tree tips this morning on what you might do if you were going to grow a palm in general, let's say. But let's use this as the example, the Robolini Pygmy Day palm. Before we get into that, look at this. Look at this trunk. Can you believe that? It's really, really beautiful. And you can see down here, it gets that black mildew kind of stuff that grows on it. But up higher here, you get to see what it looks like. I just recently, see, it has this very fibrous husk that you can just pull off with your hand when it's ready. Chop and drop that. But it will accumulate, and then the thing is just to clean it out so that it stays looking, you know, pretty good. Oh, look at that. Yeah, this one really gives you the look of the Robolini trunk, which is, you know, these aren't sharp. It's the cool thing. It's not, I mean, I guess if you fell on it, it wouldn't feel good, but they're not sharp. So it's a very cool look without a lot of consequence. I don't like anything thorny, if you know, but this one's thorny. But I tolerate it because it's a manageable thorn. This isn't too deadly. Like, look, I can do that. It's not piercing my thumb, but you know, you could definitely get one of these in your hand if you weren't careful. But they're kind of back inside and not too thick. Like some of the thorny palms are just insanely treacherous to deal with. I've gotten, I mean, cut open by a Washingtonia palm before trimming a full-size Washingtonia palm. It's no joke. And for me, I don't want to do that ever again. But this I can manage. Every once in a while I get poked. Okay, so let's talk about what you would do if you wanted to grow one of these from a seed. So, palm seeds. What do you need to know about palm seeds? Well, the first thing you want to know about palm seeds is that they need to be fully ripened. If you're going to plant a palm tree seed, make sure that the fruit that you get it from is fully ripened. Not like this, where they're green still and small. No, when they're fully plump and preferably just getting ready to fall off. Like that is when it's ready. Okay. Otherwise, it's not going to be as viable. You cut down the viability of the palm nut by not having it be fully mature. So you want it fully mature. Then what? Well, unlike a lot of seeds that you might be familiar with, the palm seeds are going to want some sunlight on them in order to sprout. That's really a weird thing. So to get these seeds to grow, you essentially just lay them or partially just kind of push them into a sandy, loose medium, and they'll grow. That's the way you grow coconut. Just leave it on the sandy ground. I guarantee if I had 10 coconuts and laid them on that ground there, they would grow eventually if they were only provided with water. Some of them will grow. That's how a lot of people grow coconuts that I've seen. They just throw a pile of coconuts they pick from their neighbor's tree onto the ground, and yeah, they start to sprout up. And then you can let like 2 or 3 of them grow in a clump. Cut out any that you don't want. So yeah, you need to make sure that the nut is mature, like me. Make sure that you plant on top of the soil. Make sure, third, that you water that sucker. Water that sucker. If you water that sucker, you're going to get something like this. Now, these have not been watered nearly enough. In fact, this one was neglected, which is why you see this kind of thing going on in here. And I just actually want that to return right back in to the soil, but the one that remained is doing okay, and you know, I'm not really heartbroken about the fact that all these others that started died, because one is enough. One of these is enough. This is, I'm gonna forget the name of it now on the stream. What is the name? Oh, I can't remember all my official plant names. It's the very thorny date palm, Senegal date palm. There it is. I got it. Senegal date palm. Now, it's a clumping, beautiful palm that has thorns that might have been created by the devil himself. So, one's enough. If I get one to grow, that'll be a lifetime achievement. I'm good. I'll grow it in a pot and tame it that way, because I don't ever want to put one of these in the ground in my yard. I think it would be a hazard to humanity. All right. These are Chinese fan palms. And it's interesting to see how different the initial growth is of these palm trees. You know, all palms, all very different look. Spindly, narrow leaves on that one. Chinese fan palm already fanning out. Big leaf sprouts. Big leaf sprouts. Interesting. You can see some of the sprouts that actually sprouted and then had either a bug get in them or they were dug up by squirrels. Squirrels probably got about 80% of the sprouts in these pots and still enough survived. And then they lost interest, I suppose. Now, this one, highly, highly relevant. That's the Robellini. That's the one we were just looking at. And really doing healthy. This one's particularly easy to grow, the Robellini. Now, I'm going to show you, and I've shown this one in other streams, but it's relevant to the topic certainly. Another place where I've got some. Oh, and look, a couple of the Chinese fan palms obviously made it into that pot as well somehow. Probably the squirrel, this work of the squirrel. Oh, actually, I don't need to show them one. Over there against the fence, I just threw a bunch of areca palm nuts, and this almost always works. If I want areca palm to be somewhere, I just throw the nuts onto the ground and leave and forget about them, and then 2 years later you have a nice little clump of areca palms. This is the same technique, just in a pot. Now areca grown this way is a very cool ornamental. You can see it's caloric, yellow, yellowish. That is obviously it's nutrient deficient, which is easily solved with a single scoop of bunny manure, which is what I've got to do to all of these. Once they get that bunny manure, and I get my sprinkler repaired. Right now they do not have enough water on them. See all the oak wood I just harvested from the tree out front. Yeah, once I get the water situation in a reliable place. Ooh, that wasn't good. I'm gonna blame the squirrels again. You know, I'm just gonna blame the squirrels for everything. Even if like I get a backache, squirrels. But yeah, once I get this backyard irrigation system repaired, which is due to happen on Tuesday, we're gonna revamp the irrigation approach in the backyard. You know, I'm very careful to be efficient in the way that I water this space. And right now I've been watering it from a hose, which is, you know, the city water that you pay for, not out of a well. But it's worth it. That's why I saw all those hoses laying around. I'm moving this sprinkler head, which does a great job of keeping the situation alive. Without it, it would just start to turn into a dead, dry hayfield. All right, let's feed the chickens some treats. I was just thinking that would be a good idea. The chickens love the treats, and one of the favorite treats of the chicken is, of course, the mulberry tree. And what I do is, I didn't bring my clippers, so I'm just going to pull some. Mulberry branches. There's a song about that, I think. Yeah, every critter loves them. Oh, look at the hen parade. They know exactly what's happening. Look. It's like a chicken wave. Eat your backyard ritual. But it illustrates an important point, which I always try to get that chicken in the back. fact I'd like to point out is that when you have little pet hens like this, they love to be hand-fed. Gives them the ability to really bite down and pull off little pieces that they can swallow, as opposed to having to try to get it off a stick laying on the ground. All right, and the next thing is time to exercise Bunny Wunny. Hey, Penelope. How you doing, sweetie? All right, Bunny Wunny. Time for Bunny Wunny to get out. Use those hoppers. Ready, Thumps? He gets in that submissive position to be picked up instinctively now. All right, I'm gonna grab the bunny. There you have it, lionhead bunny. Little lionhead bunny. Producing all the fertilizer I need for this yard. Hey, Thumps. They always go right to this area and start eating the lemongrass. They love this lemongrass. With the red sugar cane and the pigeon pea. All right, we got the bunny out. All right, now one other thing I had planned here is actually entitled the video Planting Dragon Fruit, was to plant dragon fruit. Look what we have here. 3 good specimens of dragon fruit. Let's talk about dragon fruit cuttings, growing dragon fruit 101. So there are 3 primary varieties of dragon fruit you would commonly find. One is the yellow, and then there's 2 varieties of red, one with red flesh in the middle, one with white flesh in the middle. They all grow well from cuttings. And what I have is the yellow. I've been growing it for many years, and what I'm trying to do is plant it widely so that I get a high yield of dragon fruit. Otherwise, you only get a few every once in a while. I want to change that. If you can, when taking a dragon fruit cutting, cut it at the node. There'll be this woody area. It's kind of thorny too. Dragon fruit has the very small thorns on it. It's manageable. But cut it at that woody location. If you want to, you can make 2 cuttings by cutting it at this location, then you have that piece and that piece. I want these to be long, and I found the long cuttings tend to do better right away, more energy in them likely. But I expect all 3 of these fine specimens. I mean, look at this one. Looks like a dragon's tongue, doesn't it? Is that amazing? It's about a not quite 3-foot cutting, 2.5-foot cutting. And it's already got another little dragon fruit nub growing off the top. I predict high success. So you don't really, if you harvest them on the woody part of the dragon fruit, you don't really need to let them cure. If you were to cut it, which I don't advise, mid-cactus, let's say, then you would want to let it callus, which is that wet cut piece, to dry up before you planted it. Typically that's going to prevent it from rotting, which is why you want to really harvest them this way, if at all possible. Your chances of it rotting are way lower. All right, so I don't like to carry more than one of these at a time because I always get stuck by the cactus. But where, oh where, would a dragon fruit like to be? And I'm gonna actually just hand plant these. Nothing fancy. Maybe I'll grab that bamboo stick there, but the point is, I would like to have this area fill in with dragon fruit. I think that would look really cool. And I think I can trim it around this sign, which my buddy made for me, which I love. thinking I can. But there's some obvious places that don't have dragon fruit planted yet that I could plant it. Now, where's the dragon fruit already? Okay, there's one right here. That one's already starting to grow up the fence. And then there is two here. You see that one hatching quite nicely. This one's growing up, so we're starting to get there. What I want to do is fill this space first with a nice healthy cutting. All right, I'm gonna grab this stick. That's why this was here. All carefully planned out. Now I saw that comment. I'll stop here in just a second. All right, I'm just gonna poke a hole. You don't really need to go crazy with planting these. I think the more important thing when planting these is that you have it in a place where it's not going to fall down. So it's physically supported, and as long as it doesn't start moving around, it should probably grow pretty easily into the ground. So that looks about right. It's kind of propped in that fence there. Just back a little bit around the edge just to secure it, really. You can see it's like mostly beach sand and wood chips and whatever. But I'll throw some bunny manure back there also. All right, so there you go. I think that's a good one. That should hopefully grow up here. I could probably plant another one right in there. But I almost like putting one here more. Again, it's that space right next to it. This is the area that's gonna, that sand is very, very loose. All right, let's go get another cutting. All right, I'm gonna look back at the comments with my non-sandy hand. 121 Homestead. How do you care for them in the winter? Try to dragging the pots in and out of the greenhouse. Well, we're in zone 10A, so we just let it ride. They typically almost never freeze. But if it does, you would be in trouble, certainly. Yeah, or else you'd have to bring them in. This is such a large plant. That would be a serious labor of love to care for dragon fruit in such a way. All right, here we go. Yeah, that looks about right. Let the fence do the work for me. Again, just mostly securing it so it doesn't fall over. That's really what I'm trying to do. There you go. That's a winner. Oh, look at this one. That one I might have to transplant because this fort is old. All four of my children have spent many days playing in this, and it's reaching end of life. Gonna have to deconstruct it. It's kind of a monument to the past at this point, which is interesting to an extent. It's not that interesting when you got a hurricane coming and the thing is gonna fall to pieces and slam into your house. So you gotta manage that concept. We've been thinking now, also on a separate tangent, before we plant the last dragon fruit cutting, we've been wondering about there's been a debate in my family. What was the right way to build this chicken coop? What I did was I didn't cement it into the ground, so it's movable. And I did that so I could build it in pieces and put it out here and make sure everything was square and plumb and all that kind of stuff. So it's so heavy. I don't know how heavy that thing is, but it's pressure treated wood, 3/4 inch all the way around. It's like a rock. So I don't think that would be lifted up, but you never know. At the point where that's being lifted up, like the whole world is coming apart at the seams. You know, your roof's coming off of your house. Yeah, so I think what I'm gonna do is just simply strap this beast down during a hurricane. I'll anchor it with straps into the ground as securely as I can over the top of the roof, and maybe even put some hardware in the side to really make sure the straps are secured to the coop itself and tie her down. I think that'll be good. Yeah, but these chickens are gonna ride it out in the coop for sure, of course. But the thing's so sturdy, I think they'd be all right. And it's also got a ton of ventilation. It's built to have max ventilation. You wonder what the bunnies are doing? I wonder. Oh, there we go. Dumper. topper's still right in there under that clump. What you doing, Thompson? Get you moving? Nothing a bunny loves more than to get down in a hidey hole, stick his snout into the roots and chew on some roots. A little digging. Yeah, it's a happy bunny. That's what we wanted. Now, I want to show you one other thing. I actually prepared a list for this coffee chat. I'm super prepared. Going through all the topics. Piece of paper. Yeah, we'll finish planting the last dragon fruit first. Where is that thing? I'll show you the pigeon pea success. And I just want to illustrate how incredibly easy we're having our fence replaced as well in a couple of weeks. It's a good thing to get done before the hurricanes get here as well. But I want to show you how easy it is to grow pigeon peas. Hey, Michelle the Great. Great to have you on the stream. Michelle says, good morning. Looking great. Thank you very much, my friend. Look at this. Pigeon peas. I simply took 4 pigeon peas and jammed them roughly an inch into this potting soil and watered it. And here we have 4 beautiful pigeon peas. I'm going to plant those pigeon peas all together. I'm not going to separate them or anything. I'm going to grow them to be as big as I can in this pot, and then I'm going to plant them as a unit of 4. Also, you can see these beautiful live oak logs that we harvested from our oak tree, the tree trimming service that we used. We cut them up into nice manageable pieces, but incredibly, to me, an incredibly valuable resource. These logs are so heavy, it's unbelievable. But I bought some vegetables from Lowe's. You know, this is a fairly exotic thing for my area because growing anything like this here is very difficult. It's sweltering hot, and that's why I've got them on this area where they get partial shade. But I picked up a couple eggplants, sage, basil, a pepper plant. That they called pet grass, and I just had to buy it. But pet grass has to be a gimmick, but I thought, well, why not? My hope would be the pet grass grows to be about 4 feet tall, like the lemongrass, because that's the kind of grass my pets like. You can see I've got looking to see if it's watered enough. I've got an ever-bearing mulberry tree cutting jammed in here. This is a rescue case. This is a rescue of a grapefruit tree that almost died due to salty irrigation and bug infestations, which are very typical here for citrus. Again, it's an exotic thing to be able to have a citrus tree here. I expect them to fail every once in a while. They cling to life long enough to produce fruit, like my lemon tree did. This is a Persian mulberry, incredibly easy to grow from cuttings, along with many other mulberries. Very, very easy, very easy. One of the hallmarks of my yard, trademark, whatever you want to call it. Not sure where I'm going to put this one yet. Not sure. I'll give you a quick look at what a Persian mulberry looks after a year. Hey, Stiegelman Family Farm. Good to see you on the stream. Hello all from Stiegelman Family Farm. Michelle the Great. I too planted a small, I'm not sure what that is. Moulin plant? And it looks like it's not going to survive. Yeah, that's the thing. You got to know when to say when. If you don't bail on the citrus or the dying plant situation soon enough, then it just dies in the ground. Where I found I can take them to, this is my rescue hospital on the side of the house. Next thing to do is we're going to get the house painted, but we're going to also re-stucco the entire outside, which is why I've delayed dealing with the obvious water stains on the side of the house. But yeah, we're gonna re-stucco and then repaint, which would be nice. But this is my rescue area for plants. This is it's a type of hot pepper, datil, D-A-T-I-L, hot pepper, very hot pepper. And I think we covered everything else. Oh, this is a really, really good variety of frangipani, what we call frangipani. People also call Plumeria. Yep. And of course, the Areca is always a standout. It's always fantastic when it gets this mature. You know, it's like, I look at it like a clump of grass. People are horrified by the idea of stubbling these things, but they don't mind it if they're growing in loose sand with enough water like they are here. The main concern I have is controlling it enough that it's not growing, wasting its energy growing up underneath the eave of this roof, because I can't have it hitting the roof. I also don't want the leaves touching the roof. That's how bugs get into the house. We do have pest control. Without pest control, you got serious bugs if you live in Florida. But it keeps them at bay, but you can't have, you know, the leaves laying on your roof if you want to keep them out. So I keep it well trimmed back. Here's some other things. We're getting ready. Actually, one of the things I had on my little list was to plant carrots, because it's so easy to grow carrots in a pot. For me, it's a greatly overlooked vegetable for pot growing. And if you have, like I do, some animals and kids and so on, you know, it's a great plant that they can pick and eat. Every part of it's edible and wonderful. The leaves are like the best thing you could ever feed a bunny. Obviously, they just want to eat carrot leaves forever. And if you plant enough seeds, you know, they just come in almost like a carrot grass. I don't worry too much about the size of the carrot. It's mostly the greens that I'm interested in. But then the carrots get decent size too. Little dwarf carrots, and that's fun to feed the bunnies and eat as well. Yeah, animal kids. Same thing, exactly. Exactly. The animals and the kids just seem to automatically form a little team. Certainly. Here is what I wanted to show you. I'm glad. I've got what I call a chicken treat, which is a crab spider. I'm gonna let that guy rebuild his web, because we'll bring the chicken out here and he'll chomp that down like another tasty chicken treat. So I don't actually want to. Yeah, I don't want to break that web. All right, so this is the version of Plumeria I was talking about. Now, if you know Plumeria, I'm getting spider web on the camera, on the phone. Okay, sorry, unspider webbing myself. If you know Plumeria, you know that there are many common types of Plumeria. I'm shaking it if I don't. Oh, let me see if I'm trying to get a good angle on it. You can really see what it looks like. But if you know Plumeria, you know there are several common varieties of Plumeria you might see in the Florida neighborhood where it's warm enough to grow these. White, pink, even purple, white and yellow. There's also many different types of leaf types. You know, this is that ovate classic leaf, but you know, there are certain Plumerias that have rounded leaves, which is really beautiful as well. Certain type of white Plumeria that gets a little smaller. You know that they also have incredibly different. This particular Plumeria really is a small grower, and you can easily grow it in a pot. But don't think every Plumeria is suited for a pot, because some just want to go for the sky. This is a type of, here you go. Let's see if we can get a view of those flowers. You see, that is a much more tree-like growing Plumeria. And I trim it like a tree, and I grow it like a tree. But this one's obviously not a good application for a pot. And I got that cutting from a gigantic Plumeria tree, so I knew it was a gigantic type of Plumeria. I deduced it, and it's paid off. So it's a good tree for that area, and I can heavily trim it, and it's fine. This one, good one for a pot. Also good to expand as the opportunity presents itself. can see I'm growing a very common type of vine that you could find at any department store probably. Variegated vine, tropical vine, and it is doing great. Once this gets long enough, I'll wrap it around, and my plan is to have this also be imbued with the vine. But yeah, it grows without even trying if you just jam any random piece of it in the ground. So this is a great one to grow in pots around here. Michelle the Great says, beautiful. Thank you very much, Michelle. I appreciate that tremendously. FM 561 Florida Mom. Beautiful Plumeria. We have the hot pink, like the hot pink variety. Yeah, this is so easy to propagate. Yeah, I totally agree. I don't know that there's anything easier to propagate than a Plumeria. And if you watch any of my videos about Plumeria, I always mention the stick forest phenomenon in Florida, which the Plumeria fever can just overtake you like a gold rush of easy gardening in Florida. You find the one thing that grows easily. You'll go around Florida neighborhoods, some of these older neighborhoods, and find that the entire yard is Plumeria, which actually is really kind of cool forest. In the winter, all the leaves drop and it just looks like a stick forest. Now, in the northern parts of the country, you just say, well, that's what winter looks like, but here everything's evergreen, so it stands out. I'm not necessarily a critic. I know I could be the stick forest guy in a heartbeat. So, trying to resist the urge. Hence, we contain them in pots and we put them around, but we try not to overdo it. I'm glad I overdid it on this. This is a Persian mulberry tree, which I grew from a cutting, from a live stream. I actually planted the cutting on a live stream about 1.5 years ago. And this is the end result. Amazing. Now, this is a pretty big tree to put right on there next to my house, and I only do it for one reason, and that is that, I only do it because I'm going to do one thing, and that is hey Brian, good afternoon. That I'm using this for chop and drop as well, and that's a great thing to use something like this. It produces tons of delicious, everything loves to eat this giant mulberry leaf. It actually tastes great if you harvest those tips. I always say lima beans taste like lima beans, but this is prime chop and drop, and it has the double benefit of, on this tree I've noticed, wherever you trim it, you get 1 or 2 vigorous growth spurts on these buds, and they produce berries right away. So I've been using it as a way to produce the berry growth, which is nothing like the everbearing mulberry, which just showers you with delicious tart berries all the time. This one has much, I think, even better tasting berries than the everbearing, but they're much larger and a bit more sweet, more distinct flavor. I really love them. I think they're incredibly delicious, and so I want to promote them growth. You can see right now there's no berries on this thing, it's all branch, but the branch is a harvest, so is the berry. And by trimming it already, I've topped it a couple of times. Keep up on the trimming. You see that? Now we have lots of branch growth. That's what you want in a fruit tree. At some point, you got to keep in mind that the fruit only grows on a branch, so you want to promote as much branch growth as possible and utilize the space you got. This is small space and edge space. It relates to, there's my neighbor's fence, so the fence comes, the property line just comes right along, like right here, so right on the edge. But this is a vegetable. This is a crop, which will, I'm going to keep rather small. And anytime it gets large, well, that's a bumper crop of chop and drop for the backyard, which I keep piling and piling chop and drop back there to get the organic buildup, and it's starting to really pay off. But you're not really doing the chop and drop thing, in my estimation, until you get it to 6 or 12 inches deep of stuff all the time, that it can just be processing. Your yard can be processing over time. Just get it on the ground. Anything I throw in that chicken coop becomes, decimated, just vaporized by those chickens. They scratch it, they eat every part of it they can. They just turn it into organics. So that's awesome. I could just throw it all in the chicken pen, but I want to get those nutrients into the rest of my yard. Getting into a return loop, basically. I got 2 giant bins of compost back there that I need to harvest, which I'll probably harvest this winter when it's cooler, because that's just going to be insane or whatever. But okay, look at the blue. Look at the blue of this sky. You know what that's telling me? Good beach day. Look at this. Waman bamboo. Been cleaning out the dead canes. Cleaning out the dead canes, friends. Let's all do that. I was watching a video last night, and a person said, if you burned off everything that made you weak, or that wasn't real, just something you were, doing or clinging to, what would be left of you? Well, what's left is the most beautiful part. The solid wood. So we had a lot of dead canes. Now, the Waman, I had a question about this on the live stream yesterday that I did. The Waman, and I have a Waman in a pot that I grew from this. And any of these canes are good candidates for growing a cutting. I'm going to look back on some of the comments. I think I might have missed some. Gerald Franz, good to see you, my friend. Gerald Franz says, good morning, Sir Yoda and the EB family and friends. Caught the stream late, so rewound to watch from the beginning. Thank you. So I'm behind the mainstream. Keep on rocking in the green world. Peace. Thank you, Gerald. Always good to see you on the stream. By the way, you were telling me about your yams. You got some yam cuttings. That is sick. Yams are one of the plants I need to get in my backyard. So yep, I've been challenged here. I will get yams in the backyard. I promise you. You'll see the video. We're gonna get yams. We're gonna also. I took a survey on each backyard to ask which plant I should add next, and I have a 4 plant selection that I offered, and these are all things. Some of these things are, well, all of these things came from David the Good videos I watched where I got the idea. But it was the Florida, it was like a white pumpkin. There was that, suited for Florida climate. There's the Everglades tomato, another one that is well suited for Florida climates. And if you want tomatoes, I would claim that, or the Seminole tomato, are 2 that are must-haves. Don't mess around with the hot house tomatoes. Get the real one that can grow here, and you'll have a lot more fun. The other thing was the long beans. I think they're called foot-long beans, but those very long, almost like string beans. Oh, this breeze is heavenly. Oh, man, being in the shade, I'll tell you what, makes all the difference when it's hot like this. And I've got this big goofy hat that I wear now all the time, and it's shading the precancerous burn spots on my face I currently have that were burned off at the skin doctor last week. So that tells you a little something. You need to maybe wear the hat a little longer. Maybe wear some sunglasses all the time too, because people get eye cancer. I get up early in the morning and I surf, staring into the sunrise. I don't stare into the sunrise anymore. I just kind of glance at it and turn away or shade my eyes now. But I've looked at that scene so much. You're looking to see if the waves are coming. I've decided no more. I need to get waterproof sunglasses. Actually, some guys around here use this brand called C-Specs. I found them on Amazon for like $33, so I'm gonna pick up some of those. But yeah, the sun, too much sun, not so good. And I certainly get my fill. I am always tan. But yeah, there's nothing that beats the structure of this. It's just so amazing. It grows so easily from a cutting. All right, let's keep on going. Still more of the wood. You can see this just represents a tremendous surplus of wood. I've got to get this off my front patio, so I don't know. The next significant task is to transfer all of this stuff to the backyard. These are posts that I harvested. The wood pile, these are all straight long posts. Sure. I mean, you can set one of these posts in the ground and literally build stuff. I was thinking maybe I would build a stick something. You know, get long screws, drill holes. This is the root of my sprinkler issue, friends. How does this happen? You see that? It's like it cracked right here at the T-joint. This is a T-joint. Cracked right here, and it was like, you know, bubbling up from the ground. That's how I knew this was here. But anyway, I'm getting that fixed among other things. But nothing's getting watered back here. You can see I started to do the chop and drop here. Looks kind of shabby, I know. And that's something you got to get over with the chop and drop right away. It's like, get over it. It's isolated, you know. In this case, I like to have my front yard looking as good as possible. I like that we play football on it. It's, you know, it's very functional. But I creeped out at this edge space, Permaculture Principle 101, utilize edge spaces. And I'm utilizing it now. And I haven't had to do really just about anything to get it going. If you look, this is just regular old sand, beach sand. Maybe a little bit of organic stuff mixed in. Mostly that's like grit from the shingles on the roof. But it's just sand. It's just the soil that was here. And all I've been doing is just adding chop and drop in and throwing bunny manure and just starting to get it perked up. And the plants I chose are all surviving here. I just recently planted a Barbados cherry that I got a good deal on. I trimmed it back and used that for chop and drop. You see I just have that snip, and there's the cuttings. But yeah, that'll be a good producer. Lower down berries onto the ground. I think that's a good permaculture plant to have, actually. And then these are two different varieties of sugarcane. This is primarily red sugarcane, and these are green sugarcane planted intermittently. I actually grew the green sugarcane in a pot on some videos, if you look back. But you know, they're prolific growers. Each one of those small plants will turn into a multi-stalked, beautiful clump of sugarcane. Now, one of the things I'm using these sticks for, I don't just have a pile of sticks. I'm not at that point in my life yet. Purpose for the sticks. The sticks are actually, one of the purpose of the sticks is I'm going to make a fence. Just not just a fence to hold this stuff back from going into my yard. It's just going to be, all right, I'll share the plan, and you can tell me on the stream of this concept. Just use a post hole digger, and I'm going to sink these in at pretty close proximity all the way down this property line, and then put some cross beams, you know, this way. And what I don't want to do is create a situation where it blocks too much of the sun. This stuff's going to be fine either way. It'll grow up and get to the sun. But this will actually be a lot of growth once it gets started, and these can get pretty tall. If you look over the fence here, you can see the tops of where I got the cuttings from. That's a red sugarcane in the bunny run, and this is all cuttings from that. But we'll have much more sugarcane. Again, everything eats the sugarcane. I want to point out something else. What is a weed? That's what I want to point out. Is this a weed? I don't know. I don't think there is such a thing as a weed. I think maybe it's a stupid little generalization that you might get caught making. I think that this is a plant that is thriving right here. Now, is it edible? I don't know. Probably is. I'd probably check on this one just to see what it is, but I bet you the critters would love it. Is it chop and droppable? Yes. Is it adding back sugars and stuff into the soil? Maybe even nitrogen fixing? Who knows? Yes. To me, it's an incredible sign of health that I can produce something. By the way, is it beautiful? What do you think? I think so. Hold on one sec. All right, so let's look at what else we have growing in this small space, all from just seeds. All just seeds or cuttings. Nothing was purchased here except for that Barbados cherry. So we have an oak stick jammed in. This is my walking stick. That is a Roselli. That is a delicious Florida cranberry Roselli that I can tell by the way it's growing is going to do great. That'll actually get quite large, probably get about maybe 5 feet tall, 6 feet tall. Another one growing right here. It's a type of hibiscus. If you don't have red Roselli in your life and you're in Florida, please consider doing it because it's going to bring a lot of happiness to the situation. It's a hibiscus that you eat the flowers, and it's not like an ornamental hibiscus you might be used to with those big leafy flowers. These are calyxes that are about the size of your thumb and taste exactly like what you would imagine a fresh, ripe cranberry tasting like, although actual cranberries taste gross to eat them raw. But these taste like cranberry juice, the fruit. It's incredible. I love cranberries. I love cranberry sauce. But you can also, from the fruit that grows here, and it produces a tremendous harvest, believe it or not. So this is a must-have for you. You see the red in here? It's used commercially for dyes, which is interesting. And if you look at the trunk, it's very fibrous. Well, it's actually strong fiber that they use in a lot of applications. I forget the name of it, but that's a resource that they use. So this is a commercially viable plant, and in many ways, you should have one. But that one's going to do well, I can tell. And it's just growing in sand. Keep in mind, and that is what it's doing. So this is what I mean by picking the things that you have pretty good odds are going to do well. This, of course, the Thornless Pet cactus is a must-have for any survival gardener in Florida, I'd say. But it does require water to produce the vegetable, which is the pad, which are actually quite good, but it does require that water. Oh, the name of that pad cactus. It evades me. It was developed as the interesting thing is this variety of cactus was developed as a famine kind of plant to help with famine in areas, to produce something that's viable in poor soil, climate conditions like cactus is typically growing. And they produced this. But the thing was, and it produces lots of vegetable matter all the time. Crazy. But it requires a ton of water, which most of these places where they had problems didn't have a ton of water. So anyway, I guess that's long story short. I call it Thornless Pet Nepalese. Yes, it's Nepalese. That's it. Very good. Thank you, Tarak Fishing, for identifying the Nepalese cactus. Now, the interesting thing is this is an old one that blew down, and we just planted it with a post hole digger right in the ground, and it's now producing vegetable growth all on the old growth, which is interesting. When it gets big enough, it can actually achieve trunk sizes like this. This one's been heavily trimmed. This one came down in a hurricane. So it got the relocation. And actually, that Plumeria is a cutting. That whole thing is a cutting from a Plumeria that's in the front of the house that got blown down in that very same hurricane. So, oh, look, a big cutting. The name of the cranberry type plant is Roselli. Some people call it Florida cranberry. You can get a packet of Roselli seeds, which have damn near 100% germination success rate from the internet. I bought two packets of seeds from this seed company down in, I think, Fort Lauderdale over eBay, and I couldn't have been happier. So that's what I know about this. That's where this came from. And it's about time for me to buy more, and I want to buy all those other things I mentioned earlier as well. So go on a spending spree for seeds. Seems like a good investment. This is a pigeon pea, and just jammed a seed in there, and here it comes. That one is showing all the signs of vigor that are telling me that it's going to be very successful. So this area has quickly become this from a forgotten desert. I mean, it was getting watered anyway, but the grass never actually did that well in this spot for whatever reason. But I mean, the point is, this does well, and this is a lot more fun. So that is that. One other thing is the Oh, you're welcome, Florida Mom. All right, so this is another mulberry cutting. Vegetable application. Two of these are mulberry cuttings that just jammed sticks in the ground, and soon they will be thriving. mulberry cuttings, when you plant them, they kind of go through stages. I've seen it so many times now. The initial stage is where it just kind of sits there for a while, and it sprouts a little bit of growth and slows down, and then if it's ready to go, it'll just shoot up vigorous growth after that. And that's what this is. Both of these are at that stage where I'm expecting that, and I'll be giving it plenty of bunny manure to help the situation, and that'll have them shoot up. And then as they grow, I'm going to trim them, even though they don't get that tall, but I'll keep them well trimmed, and I'm going to return all that nutrients right into that area there. So there you go. That's the plan, Steely Dan. And the next plan is to head that way to the beach, swim in the ocean. We're hoping to wait for a little bit of a storm situation with some clouds. It's so incredibly hot. Oh, I just got back in the shade. Whew. But the breeze in the palm trees is hard to be too upset about. And the wind is making a very wavy ocean down there at the end of the street. But you always like that. Ocean's more fun when it's wavy. The ocean water right now. By the way, few things that's relaxing. I'm glad I can share this with you. I find being in my backyard to be a very meditative experience. I feel like I'm meditating the whole time I'm in my backyard, because I'm just connected with something that is, don't need to talk about as much to experience it. It's just purely natural. But the sound of bamboo leaves, I don't know if it comes through too clearly, but it's one of the most soothing sounds I can imagine. And when if you've ever been in a large timber bamboo clump, the way that the large timbers clack together, they make a very distinctive clacking sound. And the reason is, not to demystify it or anything, but the reason is there's silica in the leaves. Silica is glass, right? So sand. But it gives it that interesting sound, I believe. And even if it's not true, it's still my believing. And it's also, of course, I think the reason that bamboo makes such a fantastic building material. It's almost like fiberglass wood. Really cool. Now, look at what I've got growing here next to it. The mighty Dracaena. Pause and praise this plant. There's about 5 or 6 varieties of Dracaena I think you need to have in your life if you're in Florida. Again, chop and drop. These are vigorous growers once you get it right. They are cold sensitive, but if at all possible, and by the way, so what? If you're in an area where you just get occasional frost, trim them back. Trim them back, throw a sheet over them. As long as the roots don't freeze, they'll come back, and sometimes twice as strong. This has been trimmed back many times. And all of this material, again, is just going to be chopped some evening walking around, and I'll just go chuck it back into the side space there, and it'll just start to get more and more and more depth. But this is a variegated Dracaena, small leaf Dracaena. If you need a plant that's going to occupy a space, provide some physical element, like you want it to provide you with shade, or you want it to provide you with privacy, or you want it to provide you with wind blockage, or that kind of thing, then the Dracaena is a really important plant to know about, in my opinion. They tolerate the conditions of Florida so well. Grow from seed, grow from cutting. I spread the evangelism of Dracaena all the time. But it also grows quite well from a seed. All right, let's look back at the comments here as we stand beneath the bamboo. All right. Florida Mom says, excellent, thank you both. Yes, happy to help. Tarak Fishing TV says, Rose Hibiscus sabdarifa, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. This Hibiscus sabdorifa. Wonderful. Florida Mom. Truly, Murakami Japanese Gardens, we're regulars, and it's so wonderful to listen to the clanking and truly sounds. It is amazing. I used to go to a place called Valkyria Gardens quite a bit. There's actually a Valkyria Gardens commercial place that's still in existence in Valkyria, Palm Bay area, but probably worth a visit. I haven't actually been there, but it used to be this old retired doctor that collected all kinds of plants, and he had just every type of bambusa you could imagine in fully mature clumps, and you could buy stuff there too. And I mean, everywhere you looked, it was novelty. Just an incredible. He actually, I was told, he searched areas of China for new species of plants and brought them back to the United States that, not new in the sense that they didn't exist, of course, but new in the sense that they weren't commercially available here. So I thought that was pretty cool. Bromeliads. He had so many bromeliads, which to me is like a fancy way of saying mosquito grower. So I'm not a fan, but I get it. People love them. If you got the bromeliad fever, I would say probably don't spend a lot of time outside. But what the bromeliad crew tends to say is, by the way, these are like cup-shaped plants that are beautiful variety of colors, but they contain water. So in those things, they always grow mosquito larvae. And I guess in the wild, they probably have like frogs living down there just gulping that mosquito larvae, but here, not maybe happening. Then you just got mosquitoes. But that was an incredible place, and you could go there and just hang out and walk around his gardens. And a couple times I got to meet him, and he would take you over to the orange tree, and I was always going there with my young kids, and so they would always get an orange, be able to go over and pick an orange and stuff like that. Really cool. Oh, I am so happy to see the wind. And actually, those storms that I thought were going to come in, looks to me like they're sliding south. Sliding south, which is the weather bubble that I live in. This is somewhat typical, which is why this is an even more arid area than the other areas of Central Florida, is because we do have this microclimate effect here where we tend to be the last ones to get rain, sometimes not get the rain that everybody else has gotten. Like in Orlando, it'd be pouring, never rains there. Which we could use that rain, so. It makes for nice sunny days at the beach, though, that's for sure. A day like this. With days like this, why do you need any other day? This is the only day you're gonna get anyway. Oh, there's a moringa. This is the side of the house moringa. I haven't shown this one in a stream in a while. But this was one of the survivors. Made some mistakes on how I grew the moringa, certainly. See how spindly it is. They really snap over rather easily in the high winds, and several of them suffered that fate. This one didn't, interestingly enough. It still could, but I found, let the moringa get established. I topped this one as well, and I don't think I'd recommend that in initial growth for moringa. I think that was a mistake and killed a number of the ones that I've planted. This one seems to be doing okay. Gonna grow it as a vegetable as well. Gonna let it get to about 3 years of growth and then trim it back to start it really producing. I love this. Door torn off the hinges. The door actually has been torn off the hinges, literally, in storms. Oh, literally. Feels if I should secure that door in case one of the chickadees gets free. All right, one last thing I wanted to show you. I've got a couple things, but this janky area has a purpose. Ooh, wow. Things growing everywhere. Pigeon pea, Suriname cherry, mango sprout, Dracaena, Song of India. Okay, so what is this? Well, it's not just a waste dump. It's actually getting ready. Those are the Areca bottom of the palm fronds that are super rigid and break down real slow. I usually chuck them in the yard waste. Hey, Slightly Stacy, can we say yum? Yes. Good to have you on the stream. Stoked. But yeah, so those vegetables we saw on the side of the house, that's what these are for. I've actually got 2 giant bags of potting soil out front that I'm going to fill these with. And this area, and some of these are from various things I grew in pots and I planted. I'm just going to chuck them in here. But this potting soil, I'm going to give a little bit more in here, get it up to about halfway, a little over halfway full. This is just a storage bin. Jack and I have drilled holes all in the bottom of it. So now it's a potting bin. And by the way, not all of these storage bins would work to do this. Some of them are very brittle and just fall to pieces. So it's got to be the kind that's rated for being outside, like the heavy duty one. And if you want to do this, yeah, shaka braka bra. Indeed. But if you want to do this, make sure you get the one that's not going to just disintegrate in the sun, which this one will over time, but it'll take longer. We drilled holes all through the bottom. Just took an electric drill, and we're going to use this as a carrot farm. This space will produce so many carrots. I got a packet of mixed type carrots. We'll just sprinkle them all throughout, keep them watered. They'll grow like crazy, and that'll be a constant harvest mechanism for all of our animals, which no animal doesn't like carrots. Does that make sense? Is that, yeah. No animal doesn't like carrots. Yeah, and every chicken loves a Jamaican cherry. That was also on the list of things to do on this stream. You know, we have a very important mission. Oh, here we are. Prime chicken treat. See that? This is a very common bug. All my trees will be covered with these. They eat the leaves. They, you know, see all this damage around? That's probably all of them. And, oh, there's another one. See that one? Right on top of the leaf. Going to town. Going to town. Now, you could be bothered by that, or you could go, oh, wow, those are delicious chicken treats. We feed them to the chickens all the time, and there's no way you're going to get rid of them. So you just got to kind of live with them. Your leaves get chomped a bit. All right, let's see. Yeah, this is what we're looking for. It's not quite super ripe, but when they're plump like that, they're tasting good. This is a favorite chicken treat. I always like to feed them. Everybody is. They come out here looking to see if they can pick some to feed to the chickies. And today it's very unfair. Very unfair. Who will be the lucky chicken? Let's see. Yeah, chick, chick. Yeah, chick, chick. Let's see. If we go to the front. This is the chicken feeder. Let's look at. Yeah, chick, chick. Yeah, chick, chick. Yeah, chick, chick. Oh boy. Okay. That's Blondie, Chicken Joe, Sunshine, Poncy, Sally. Who will get the one cherry? Whoa! Almost. Chicken Joe. All right, here we go. Feel free to leave a comment on who you think the lucky chicken will be. I'm gonna go in and pick. I'm gonna pick Chicken Joe just because she made such an aggressive play there. Okay, here, chick, chick. Get all, be back here. Oh, Sally's going to get a drink of water. Here, chick, chick. Here, chick, chick. Oh, dumb chicken. See, they don't realize they ran on the other side of the cage. Well, that's a chicken problem. Here, chick, chick. Like, how do I get to it? I can't figure this out. Whoa. I'll push my way through the cage. I'll go up. Although going up has never gotten you around to this side of the thing. Yeah. All right, well, we're going to take those 2 chickens out of the running. They took themselves out, but the golden sexlets are still... Yeah, chick, chick. See if the... Yeah, chick, chick. Yeah, chick, chick. Yeah, chick, chick. Yeah, chick, chick. Oh, you almost did it. Here you go. Yeah, don't worry. We'll come out and give you treats later. We have some leftovers you're going to enjoy a lot. Yeah, chicken games. You know, there's all kinds of live streams out there. Watch people play video games. And, well, this is a chicken stream. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for hopping on the stream. I do appreciate you greatly. All the awesome comments and interaction. I enjoy that a ton. That's really why I do it, because I love that part of it. And I appreciate you tremendously. I hope you have a fantastic day. Get out there, do something fun with you and yours. I wish you endless prosperity and abundance in all that you do. Thanks for watching Eat Your Backyard. Hope to see you on the next one. Don't forget, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you aren't. Have a great day.